Donald Trump's dark past simply cannot be covered up by his lackeys. It's just blowing up in their faces. So in the next 24 hours, right, the Department of Justice, by law, is supposed to turn over the Epstein files. Technically, they were supposed to do it 48 hours ago in response to a subpoena issued by the House Oversight Committee when Democrats were able to outmaneuver the MAGA Republicans. The Department of Justice asked for an extension to MAGA Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, who gave him that brief extension till Friday. Then the DOJ said they're going to just roll it out in bits and pieces. You know, they're just going to continue to cover it up. But they had a huge announcement that they wanted to make. They said, we are making a massive announcement. They went on Fox State Regime Media and they're like, we have a huge announcement to make, right? What's the announcement? Are you going to turn over the Epstein files? What's this big announcement? And Kash Patel, the FBI director, right, who literally looks like a deer in headlights. He walks around like a deer in headlights. And he's like, I want to make this announcement. Anybody in the DOJ and FBI, if you've got nothing to hide and you were DOJ and FBI, come here and we are going to determine if you've got nothing to hide about weaponization against Donald Trump. Russia, Russia, Russia. Watch this ridiculous announcement that Kash Patel makes here. Let's play it.
Now, it's time for accountability, and that's who we're talking to. And by the way, Larry, I'd like to announce on your show, if you got nothing to hide and you were DOJ and FBI before, you're welcome to come talk to the FBI at any time. And if you don't want to come talk to us, we're going to come find you, and we're going to put you in an investigative position and posture that will make you feel very uncomfortable, kind of like you did when you weaponized the government. The only difference is we're going to be doing it on a factual, legal, and constitutional basis to do so.
Now, as they continue to so obviously fail at covering up the Epstein files for Donald Trump, you have Larry Kudlow, who used to be part of the Trump administration, right? He's now a host at Fox. It's why I call him State Regime Media. You've got Larry Kudlow. This dude's wrong about literally everything. I know. I don't think COVID's going to hit. This guy's wrong about everything. Then he's got Kash Patel on, current FBI director, former right-wing podcaster. That's the job before he became this. And what they're saying is we really need to go after all of those FBI agents and DOJ people who were there and who executed a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago for Donald Trump. And they go, nobody's ever figured out why they even executed a search warrant in the first place. What are you talking about? Donald Trump stole nuclear secrets after his first administration was over, and he brought classified documents and hid them poorly, like out in the auditorium at Mar-a-Lago, in random bathrooms at Mar-a-Lago. Our freaking nuclear secrets were right there. But the Trump-appointed Judge Eileen Cannon, stopped the prosecution and said, oh, we don't believe that special prosecutors can even exist. We don't think that someone like Jack Smith was legally allowed to be appointed in the first place. And then that's where the weaponization was. But this is what they're talking about to try to avoid talking about the Epstein files, which should be the big announcement. Listen to Kash here. Play this clip.
Another question. Why was Mar-a-Lago invaded? What were they looking for? This is speculation. No one knows to this day. I mean, it happened several years ago. We'll probably be talking about this for years ahead. The subject of Russiagate came up at the Alaska meeting of the two leaders, Russia and the United States, Putin and Trump. What were they doing there, Kash? Does anybody have any idea? Why was the FBI, what was the FBI looking for?
Creating a crime where one did not exist. The answer has been definitive. There was no crime. There was no predicate to go and invade Donald Trump's home. We have answered that definitively. Now, you know me, working backwards from that point, we are going to hold people accountable who weaponize that system of justice for the following reason. We, the FBI, must restore accountability and credibility of the American public so we can arrest more top 10 predators, so we can go after more terrorists, so we can find the other people involved in Abbey-gate. These are the cases that matter to the FBI, and the distractions, to put it mildly, from the prior leadership regime are what thwarted the American public's belief and credibility in the FBI.
Before Cash Patel became the FBI director, dude was selling cash merchandise. KAS $H. I mean, it's so utterly pathetic. Now, yesterday, a federal judge, we reported this yesterday too, but this is all related in time. Federal Judge Burman made a powerful order saying that, look, we as the judiciary have no right to release the grand jury testimony regarding Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. There's a rule of criminal procedure, Rule 6E of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, say we're not allowed to turn it over. In fact, what Judge Burman from New York, federal judge, and all these federal judges say is that this was all a ruse by the DOJ, because when we smoked out the DOJ's legal filing, which was brought in bad faith, even the DOJ confessed that there was no exception to the rule, Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E, that grand jury testimony normally can't be released. There's no exception saying it should be released. But what Judge Burman says in this order is, you have the files. Release the damn files, DOJ. You have the trove. Why would you do grand jury testimony when you have every file? Just produce the files and that solves the problem.
The weather is heating up and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Now, using those silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle Made sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Meidas at checkout, you'll get free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Meidas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
I want you to watch what Judge Burman said yesterday in this order, because this is related to what Cash is doing. I'm going to show you what Bondi's doing in a second as well. This is what Judge Burman says. Having reviewed, among other things, the government's motion dated July 18th and other related filings, the court denies the government's motion to unseal Epstein grand jury transcripts and exhibits. The principal ruling in this case is that Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E governs, and that there is a clear precedent and sound purpose of grand jury sealing. The government concedes that no Rule 6E3 exceptions to grand jury secrecy apply in this case. At the same time, the government fails to demonstrate any special circumstance which might justify unsealing. So even the government, while they're out there saying, oh, well, we made this motion to release grand jury testimony, they're privately writing motions saying there's no basis for you to release this at all. Then the federal judge goes through some of the factors right here, and Judge Burman says the following. Judge Burman says, in analyzing the special condition exceptions, district courts consider the following 9 in re Craig. There's a case called in re Craig factors. The party seeking to unseal grand jury materials must demonstrate the unsealing is appropriate. The government concedes that it cannot meet any of the exceptions specified in Rule 6E. Rather, the government contends that unsealing is warranted under a particular special condition, namely a public interest exception. There is certainly and appropriately lots of discussion about the Epstein case, and for that reason, the court is proceeding to evaluate the validity of the government's special condition claim. Then they go on to talk about here, in the factor 1, the identity of the party seeking disclosure. It says the government is the party seeking disclosure. However unusual it is for the government to seek to unseal grand jury material. Then it says not since 1973 has the government sought to unseal grand jury testimony. A significant and compelling reason to reject the government's position in this litigation is that the government has already undertaken a comprehensive investigation into the Epstein case, and not surprisingly, has assembled a trove of Epstein documents, interviews, and exhibits. And the government committed that it would share its Epstein investigation materials with the public. See the press release of Attorney General Pam Bondi releasing the first phase of declassified files, February 27th, 2025. The government's 100,000 pages of Epstein files and materials dwarf the 70-odd pages of Epstein grand jury materials. The government's Epstein files are sui generis. They are investigatory and not subject to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E. The government is the logical party to make the comprehensive disclosure to the public of the Epstein files. By comparison, the instant grand jury motion appears to be a diversion from the breadth and scope of the Epstein files in the government's possession. The grand jury testimony is merely a hearsay snippet of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged conduct. In February 2025, the government, as noted, was prepared to release the Epstein files to the public. But then on July 6, 2025, the government announced it would not make the files available to the public. Then he cites what Pam Bondi said on July 6th. It is the determination of the Department of Justice and the FBI that no further disclosures would be appropriate or warranted. Now, what we know is that in May, the DOJ briefed Donald Trump that his name was all over the Epstein files. Not a shocker, because we know that Donald Trump's name is all over the stuff that's already been released. I've gone through and done an exhaustive analysis on this before, how Epstein would go to Donald Trump's place all of the time, how Trump was all over Epstein's flight log, how they would have events at Mar-a-Lago. It would be just Donald Trump and Epstein, and there would be 30 girls of indeterminate age, how Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficked young girls from Mar-a-Lago, like Virginia Giuffre, who was 17 years old, who Donald Trump since said was stolen from him, and that other girls were stolen. I could go on and on. Just go back and watch all. There's in the Sunday Daily Mirror, it talks about Ghislaine bringing Donald Trump young women in 1997. Trump said Epstein's a great guy who likes women on the younger side. Go back and watch all my videos. They've gotten like close to 1 billion. My Epstein related content has gotten close to 1 billion views on Donald Trump. So go back and look that. But here's what Attorney General Bondi gave her press conference on. Not the Epstein file. She refuses to talk about that. When she goes on, she goes, I'm not talking about that. But she does her big tough guy thing where she starts speaking about, we're going to send law enforcement. We're going to send the military into blue cities. play this clip.
You have to tell us if there are illegal aliens in your database. If we're arresting someone, we are going to know if they're an illegal alien. So last week I sent out 32 letters to mayors around the country, and I believe to 7 governors telling them, you better comply or you're next. If they don't comply with this, Larry, we're going to work with our other agencies to cut off their federal funding. We are going to send in law enforcement just like we did during the LA riots, just like we're doing here in Washington, D.C. And if they're not going to keep their citizens safe, Donald Trump will keep them safe. That's what this is all about, making America safe again. That was his only directive, and that's what we're doing.
You're going to send them into blue cities. The crime is so much higher in red cities than blue cities. You're sending them into areas where crime is down. And by the way, what's your plan here? Are you just going to keep the military in blue cities forever? Is that your goal? And you think that we, the people, are not going to rise up? Like you think that, or is that part of your plan to then incite the Insurrection Act or to declare martial law? You think we don't know where you're heading with this? That ultimately your goal is to turn America into Russia, to turn America into Viktor Orban's Hungary. And by the way, Orban's going to get wiped out in the next election. That's what we're doing here. And again, if you want to see like one of the other tactics that they're doing at the DOJ, I reported on this yesterday. They haven't yet fired Dan Bongino, the other right-wing podcaster who's the deputy FBI director right under Kash Patel, but they basically layered him. They put on this guy, Andrew Bailey, the corrupt Missouri attorney general, to be the co-deputy head of the FBI, who will be kind of side by side with Bongino to try to shut Bongino up. That's what they're doing right now. But Kash Patel services, Kash Patel playing Mr. Tough Guy. If you were at the DOJ or the FBI, you proved to me that you did not weaponize it against Donald J. Trump. Dude, these people are sick. Like, these are real sickos. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I can use more intellectual language, but like, these are just bad, dumb, evil humans. It's not like a Democrat Republican thing. It's like, these are bad people who want to harm people. That gives them joy. It's strange. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.